Ncuti Gatwa Millie Gibson and Steven Moffat take a bow. What's up guys, and welcome back to Theories by T. You can call me T, and today I'm reviewing Doctor Who episode 3, Boom. Spoilers if you haven't seen the episode yet. Now let's talk about it because I loved it. So quick summary, the Doctor steps out of the TARDIS into a war zone looking for someone to help, but accidentally stands on a landmine, and the entire episode is him and Ruby trying to get off of it. Which as a premise, so smart. So let's talk about the writing and the return of Steven Moffat. For those who don't know, this episode was written by the former showrunner of Doctor Who between the eras of the 11th and 12th Doctor. And no matter what point of Doctor Who is your favorite, it's really hard to deny that Steven Moffat has written the best episodes of Doctor Who of all time. Heaven Sent, Blink, The Girl on the Fireplace, The Empty Child, friggin' 11th Hour. Now he's back with a boom, and honestly this episode was just so well done. In the concept of sticking the Doctor and Ruby in an environment where they can't just use the TARDIS or the sonic screwdriver to get them out of their situation, they have only their mind. I think this episode also gave us some of the best dialogue of this new era so far, with the lines like, "I'll blow this battlefield into dust," and saying that he can't think unless he's speaking, and he can't speak unless Ruby is there to listen. And just that overarching discussion of war and capitalism being things that the Doctor just despises, such a consistent character trait that we're told very early on in the season. With that being said, even with Steven Moffat at the helm, I have to be honest, the writing wasn't perfect. I will say the actual plot of the story itself was quite rushed through. I say that because even now as I record this, I'm still not fully sure why the soldiers were there waging war on Castarian 3, how they were fully confused and thought there was another army there. I guess the AI kind of did stuff, but A, that was kind of told to us just through dialogue rather than shown, but B, and more importantly, we don't get too much focus on the motivations of the soldiers of this army. Like Mundy, John, and Canto, we know they are soldiers, but we don't know why they are soldiers, why the army is there in the first place, or if it's a war, why it felt like there wasn't that many soldiers. We kind of get hints as to why they do what they do, because there's this vague thing of like, faith told them to do it, but mind you, they mention God like once or twice in the episode, so that's not really overtly told to us, which isn't the worst thing in the world. We don't need every bit of information told to us. We are meant to infer certain things, but the only personal information that we got about these characters is girl likes boy, boy likes girl, dad loves daughter, daughter loves dad. Oh, and I guess the daughter's mum died, but no one seemed to care, which is a shame because it's a bag of great actors too, doing the best with what they had, but the script itself kind of just made them feel quite one-dimensional, which is especially jarring when you see that Verada Sethu is meant to be a companion in the next season, but all we know about her is that she liked boy and boy died. I don't want to harp on it too much, but when you compare it to other commentaries of war in the show, like the Zygon episodes or Day of the Doctor, those episodes gave us actual reasons to understand at least one side of the conflict, if not both, therefore helping us to emotionally invest more, making it a more rich and deep episode. And in this case, considering one side of the conflict was just going to be corporate greed and hunger in the form of a faceless weapons manufacturer, the focus should have been on these soldiers. But don't worry, it's not all bad in my opinion. In fact, what made this episode so strong was a decision that Steven made to make this a bottle episode. My favorite brand of television, for the most part keeping everything in just one singular location, allowing for the real meat of the episode to be the character dynamics, the emotional beats between, in this case, the Doctor and Ruby. Which leads me nicely into my next point, acting. Ooh, as far as this series go, a performance best for both Millie and Ncuti in this episode. In just 45 minutes, we got to see a whole range of emotions for these characters thanks to these actors and their facial expressions and just how they delivered their lines. With my favorite scene being the moment where Ruby decides she's gonna walk over and hand the Doctor the tube rather than throw it to him. Now, a lot happens after that, so I feel like that's an easily forgettable moment, but honestly, I think it's where their acting shined the most. It was a great directorial and writing choice to have Ruby want to walk over there because it allows all of the emotions to happen really tight up. You're as close to their faces as they are to each other. But honestly, at this point, Millie really impressed me. As a relatively young actor with not the most acting experience, I was not expecting such a very heartfelt moment. In just this moment, she was able to show that Ruby is still terrified, but also knows she needs to save her friend, so she had to kind of dig up that bravery. But then we get that slow shuffle towards him, confident in this idea from afar, but the closer she gets, the more nervous she gets. In particular, what I loved in her performance was that choke in her voice in this scene. It was quite consistent, subtle but consistent, showing Ruby's bravery and vulnerability are not mutually exclusive. They are very much a part of her character. It was a very honest moment and I liked it. And the same with Ncuti, who shows it all in his face. Honestly, facial expression wise, this guy killed it. An expression that shows guilt for getting Ruby in the situation and her potentially getting hurt from it, but also there's a look of fear for his own life and Ruby's. The struggle of concentration and trying to stay calm. The wide eyes, quivering mouth, the tear going down his face, his body struggling to stay still, and that slight sweat over his face. Truly a masterclass in conveying multiple complex emotions in just one scene. As for the negative in acting, I'll say this once to move on, Splice wasn't my favorite. I mean, I know she is faith-driven, so I kind of understand why she was okay when she talked about her mom passing away, but seeing her dad's AI ghost, I don't know, I kind of just expected a little bit more of an emotional reaction. Like, she understands that he's dead, she says as much at the end of the episode, but she's kind of just like, it's okay though, he's here as a ghost, so it's fine, let's look at antelopes. I get this is how some kids would react in that situation, not having a full grasp on, you know, the concept of death, but she seems to be mature enough to know what's going on. I don't know, there was just not a lot of emotion. I think I wanted to connect to more in that area, but again, these characters were written very one-dimensionally. Girl loves dad, dad loves girl. And if that was going to be the case, it would have been nice to see a scene where the dad and the daughter were actually physically together rather than one phone call in the opening sting of the episode. In that regard, I can't blame the actors too much. It really was a writing choice, or maybe even an editing choice. It just, that part let me down a little. Verada Setu showing up, I really didn't expect that. Add that to the list of companions showing up way earlier than we expected. I will say, despite my critiques on the characters and the way they were written, she was acting for her life. She conveyed a lot of complex emotions, as well as having a charm to her character too. I think she'll fit in very well in season 2. But sadly, like I said, she was for the most part reduced to just having a crush on some guy and then that guy dying, and that's pretty much it. I guess she had a protective sisterly relationship with Splice, kind of, but that wasn't really focused on either. Like, what was her relationship with John that made her the primary protector of Splice? And her being one of the only women in the, you know, barrack that took that responsibility on, it just, I don't know, it doesn't hit right. Susan Twist, I'm not gonna lie, for some reason this reveal was not as fun, because the last time she appeared in the show, it was a little more subtle. It was like a spot it if you can. Here she was a full-on character. The Doctor and Ruby have now fully seen her face, so any cameo going forward, I'm gonna be like, you don't recognize her from the last episode? What's going on here? It might be revealed that she's a bigger thing than we expected. I mean, I remember when Wilf appeared multiple times, we were just like, okay, that's Donna's granddad. Like, who's this guy? So I'm gonna give that time to cook. I'm just scared this is gonna all just build up to nothing. But overall, a really great episode. It's hard to find a bottle episode that I haven't loved. I truly think it's a great way to show the real complex emotions between at least 2 or more characters. But they bring out emotions, motivations, bring out the full acting range of characters, playing out almost like a play where everything is just set on the one stage. I think truly, I just love a good character study. And because of that, I do wish the soldiers had more dimensions to them. And if the Doctor's gonna be revisiting Mundy in future, then hey, maybe we'll get a bit more depth to her later. Otherwise, I really enjoyed Boom. It was a fun time. Tell me in the comments, what did you think of this episode? And question of the day, what is your favorite bottle episode of television in history? I'll let you know what my answer is in the comments. And while you're there, don't forget to subscribe for more geeky fun content like this. Like this video if you liked it, boost me in the algorithm. And follow me on Instagram. That is the best way to support me as a creator so I can keep making more videos like this one. I'll see you in the comments below. I've been T, and that's the T.